Welcome to episode 23 of Kings Connected. My name is Dylan Baker. In our last two episodes, we talked to new signings with the Kings and Jackson McElwain and Joey Steemack, two guys that are going to be joining the team next year. Jackson, of course, is a part of the AAA Major Mid Huron Perth Lakers last year, put up very solid numbers there. And Joey was the AAA captain of the London Junior Knights Major Midget team. So two welcome additions to the Kings organization, two very skilled guys, very fast players. We're excited to see what they can bring to the team next year. And today we'll talk to one of their coaches, and Adam Casey is. Adam joins Kings Connected. He's the only member of the coaching staff who has not been on the show. That's because Adam was recently named assistant coach not too long ago, and he should complement the skill sets of Colin Martin, Mike Riatti, and Dave McDonald very well. We're excited to see what he can bring to the Kings next year. So without further ado, let's bring him in. It's Adam Casey. Joining me now is newest Kings assistant coach, Adam Casey. Adam, how are you today?
I'm good, Dylan. How are you doing?
I'm good as well. Getting things started. Adam, you spent time as a coach of the St. Mary's Lincolns and London Nationals, as well as the London Junior Knights AAA minor midget program. Was coaching something you had always wanted to get into?
When I was 19 years old, 20 years old, I had a high school hockey coach that had suggested maybe I get into coaching, maybe because he thought I was done playing. You know what? I kind of listened to him a little bit. I volunteered with the London Minor Hockey Association as an assistant coach, just with novice players, and I loved it, and I've been doing it ever since.
That's awesome, and you've had some great success along the way. Now, what takeaways were you able to make from your time in the league with the Lincolns and Nationals?
Well, when I was with both those teams or both those organizations, I was really fortunate to be around a lot of really, really good hockey people. On top of being good people. So when I was in St. Mary's, Merlin Malinowski was the head coach. And then when I was in London with the Nationals, Barry Martinelli was the head coach. Ron Horvath was there. So a lot of good people. But when I first got into Junior B, it was really what stands out to me the most is how important those teams are to those smaller communities and what those players mean to those communities and how much hard work has to go into those teams in terms of volunteers and all the stuff that sort of happens in the background. So when I was with St. Mary's, obviously a smaller town, I really gained an appreciation for the importance that team plays to that community, how much fun it can be, how involved everybody is. And when you have a good team, we were lucky when we were in St. Mary's, we went deep in the playoffs a handful of times. And, the team gets, the fans, the community gets behind the team and the players. And it was a really good time.
For sure. It's a sight to see in those small communities how much these junior hockey teams have an impact on their day-to-day life, how much they get behind them. And the Kings were out volunteering at several different events in Komoka last season, and a lot of volunteers go into putting on a Kings game. So we're glad that gets across and that people are able to appreciate that as well.
Absolutely.
So how do you feel having coached at the minor midget level helps add to your coaching abilities in Junior B?
Well, certainly when I got into Junior B, I had left minor midget and made that jump to Junior B. I think it helped. It really, the end of minor midget or at that minor midget age group is when a lot of players are now starting their junior careers and starting to pursue hockey at a different level, whether that's Junior C, B, or Junior A. I think it helps, obviously, working at that point with an athlete that is pretty determined, even at a young age, at 15, of further developing a career as a hockey player. When you get into Junior B, you're dealing with now different age groups in terms of 16-year-olds who are could be OHL prospects or OHL players, right up to 20-year-olds who may be at the tail end of their junior career as well. So I think it certainly helps coming from minor midget. It was a little bit different dealing with those older players, but nonetheless quite enjoyable.
For sure, coming from minor midget, it's a bit of a natural transition into junior hockey, I'm sure, because that's where the players are going, and you can just follow them there. And you've done great as a coach in this league so far. Now, Roop Chanardad, president GM, is excited about you joining the Kings organization. He says you bring a lot of knowledge and experience to the coaching staff and will be a good mentor for Colin and Mike. How do you feel about Roop's words?
Well, that's great to hear. I mean, I have a tremendous deal of respect for Roop. He's been in this league for a very, very long time and done a tremendous job with that organization, with that team. I'm looking forward to working with Mike and Colin. I mean, they're younger guys. I bring a little bit of gray hair to the bench, I guess. I think with anything, back to your original question about, what sort of experiences that I have with the Nationals or with St. Mary's, It's just being around good people, being around good volunteers, good organizations, good leadership, good ownership. Folks like yourself, and just kind of fitting in and knowing your role just like you would as a player, and doing what you can to better the organization and give your team a chance at success. So really looking forward to working with those guys.
For sure. We're excited to have you. I know that Colin and Mike are as well. So is Rupus, he just stated there. Now, you were, of course, the new assistant coach to the Kings. Tell us a little bit about how that came to be.
Well, I coached when I was with the Nationals. I believe Marty was with St. Mary's. So I've seen Marty come up through the London minor hockey scene and sort of followed him in terms of his success at Major Junior and such. Passed Colin quite often in the hockey rinks, and he's on the ice running skill sets and that sort of stuff. So always sort of stayed loosely in touch with him. Noticed that he had taken over as head coach from Ronnie, who I had coached with before, and just sort of reached out to Colin. I know that they were still looking for an assistant coach, and we touched base. Myself, Roop, and Colin got together and had a great conversation, and here we are, looking forward to the season.
Awesome. It's a great story to get you into the Kings organization. Now, you're from London, and you're a professor in building technology at Fanshawe College with 3 kids. So how important was it for you to stay close to home?
Well, my son still plays. So my son's 12 years old, so he still plays hockey, and I obviously want to get to as much of his hockey as I possibly can. My daughters are 16 and 18, so they've sort of sports is behind them, and they're on to school and such. The one thing about our league is great. I mean, you've got all these St. Thomas's and St. Mary's, Strathroy, London, Kamoka, teams that are close. Everything's within a half an hour. Really, it can be busy. There's no question. But you're not spending too many nights on the bus until you're going to Tecumseh or Leamington, that sort of thing, LaSalle or Leamington.
For sure. It's a great little setup for people living in this area because there are so many teams around there, and it's great you are joining Kamoka for next year. Now, what do you feel you can look forward to working with head coach Colin Martin, assistant coach Mike Riatti, and goalie coach Dave McDonald this year?
Well, I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, right now, with the circumstances, it's we're anxious to get going, but we, due to what's going on with COVID-19 and such, we can't, really get into the rinks just yet. So, but looking forward to working with those guys. I mean, they've obviously, the team itself has progressed over the last few years. These guys are energized. They're excited about next year. They've signed, a ton of good players. Just looking to sort of fit in. Do what I can to help the organization and Colin as a head coach. I think I have that experience as being a head coach and an assistant coach, sort of know what I can do to help those guys. But really right now, just kind of looking forward to actually getting in the rink and getting on the bench, getting on the ice and getting to work.
That's great. And for sure right now it's very difficult to really get to know the guys as much as you would like to, as much as you normally would in a regular season. But because of COVID, there have been so many restrictions and stuff. So you haven't really had a chance to work with the guys too much. Final question for you. This kind of goes with your last point there about COVID. I know it's early. We don't even know when the season's going to start just yet. But do you have goals set for yourself and the team this year?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say right now. I think with every hockey season, at the start of the season, everybody's pretty excited. And I think every team in their right mind should think that, hey, we've got a chance. This is our year to have some success. So I think for me right now, really it's kind of getting into the organization, working with the guys on the bench, filling in those roles, like I said, where Marty wants me, helping him and doing whatever I can to help the players, whether it's individually or in a group setting, to get better individually themselves, or to help the team as well to continue on with the progress that they've made over the last few years.
That's great. We're looking forward to seeing you behind the bench with Colin and Mike this year. Thank you so much for joining the show today, Adam.
Awesome. Thanks, Dylan. Take care.
That was my interview with Adam Casey, assistant coach with the Kamoka Kings. Adam talked about how his experience can be valuable for the new head coach in Colin Martin and then Mike Riatti as well. He feels he can bring his wisdom, the coaching world, to this team next year, and we're looking forward to seeing what he can do and seeing the Kings on the ice again. Like he mentioned, it's been a weird offseason. The players have barely been able to get out, and luckily the Kings do have ice at the Kamoka Wellness and Recreation Center that they're able to access. So that's been a fortunate thing to happen for the Kings. But it's been a tough offseason, and we're looking forward to seeing Adam gel with the players and the coaches when we're all able to get back together again. Again, we don't know when the season is going to begin, but we look forward to it when it does start. Thank you very much for joining the show today. This has been episode 23 of Kings Connected. We'll be back next week with episode 24 and another great guest for you.